Sagittarius, I want you to think back. For some of you, it might be way, way back, but for others, it may not be that far back at all. Either way, there is some formidable force, perhaps somebody that is past now, but either way, somebody in your life that really, really, really did not support you and everything that you are. Now, it could have been when you were at such a young age. You have to forgive me. I am freezing. I live in Southern California and it's cold. Like, what the fuck? I could have stayed in Connecticut for that shit. But anyway, I digress. This is about you, Sagittarius. I don't think that there wasn't anything that you could have. Let me just say this to you. There wasn't anything that you could have done to impress this person. This was somebody that wasn't necessarily miserable. In fact, she could have carried a lot of weight, especially for you. She could have been somebody that you actually looked up to. And yes, I say she, but you can switch around the pronouns. Ultimately, though, what happened was, and I don't think it was intentional, but I do think it ended up happening this way, that they gave you the impression that you weren't good enough. And somebody made you settle for less than what you actually deserved in life, simply because they took away the idea and understanding that you could be whatever you wanted to be. A lot of times we get taught these horrendous lessons, by the people who are raising us, the people who are around us. We get taught these lessons that say, no, that's not realistic, or there's no way that you could do something like that, or you could be somebody like that. That's not the kind of opportunities we have here, or no, we don't have the money. It's like, it's not mean, right, when they say something like that, but it's like we don't have the money for these lessons, so you have to come straight home after school instead of going to dance with everybody else. And it's not about fitting in with everybody else. It's about expressing yourself. And somehow along the way, that self-expression got squashed down. And ultimately, there is an opening now. It's like almost like I'm taking you back, because this is something that you may not even have thought about for quite some time. It may be something that ultimately it just became a part of you, a self-limiting aspect of yourself that basically became a self-shaming aspect of yourself. Like, well, why would I want to do that? Or no, or isn't that silly, or isn't that weird, or somehow it almost infected you, like their disbelief or their lack of faith infected you, so that you had a disbelief or a lack of faith, and you actually believed for a while that there was a wall, that there was a barrier that could not be surpassed. And that's just not true now. And I feel like in some ways that's kind of how karmic curses start to pass down from generation to generation. It starts maybe with malice, but the real insidious ones are the ones that don't start with malice at all. They start with, but I care, I want to protect you. And it's true, and that's the intention, but just because that's the intention doesn't mean that that's the outcome. And the outcome here became a self-limiting thought and a self-shaming thought. And ultimately, Sagittarius, it's these self-shaming thoughts that are going to bloop, 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 come up to the surface when Mercury dives back into Scorpio. And it was in Scorpio retrograde, which means it was remembering a lot of things that had happened. But ultimately now, those things, because it's not in retrograde, those things are coming to the surface. Those things are being uncovered and discovered. And so I would suspect that this could be a very emotional period for you. Good news is that Mars is starting to go direct on the 13th, I believe. But still, there is that sense of that Scorpio moon, once it's conjunct with that Scorpio Mercury, bringing out a lot of feelings or truths that are coming to the surface. The wonderful thing about it happening on a new moon is that it kind of almost in some ways scratches the slate clean, so that you can really start to realize, holy shit, first of all, that was untrue. What that person told me was not real. It wasn't true. See, this is all the crap. This is finding a way to grow something beautiful out of something that was crappy and shitty. right? And this is internal explorer. This is going within. So this is what's happening to you when Mercury goes back into Scorpio. For the next couple of days, no, just basically till tomorrow. It's going to go into Scorpio really soon. So at the very beginning of this week, there was maybe a little bit of reprieve, like because it was still in Libra. It was trying to play the nice card, say the right things, do the right things, and see other people's perspective, yada yada yada. Well, that's not what happens when it dives down into Scorpio. This is the underworld and the underbelly, and it brings up a lot of ugly when it dives into Scorpio. So ultimately, I think it might start bringing those things out in you. And as somebody, and I don't mean to stereotype you because I don't know what other placements you have, and certainly please do check out your rising sign and your moon sign especially. But ultimately, what I was going to say is lots of times Sagittarius move really fast past their emotions, and they don't feel them heavy enough to understand them. And then when they come back around, there's this intensity to them because they never really kind of formed a relationship with them to begin with. And it's not because you were doubting it or denying it. It's because you're usually just moving on to the next, moving to the next thing. So a Sagittarius that gets a deep sense of depression probably has a very sensitive moon placement, or it could be sensitive Venus placement as well. But ultimately, there is that sense for you guys that you're digging deep into one of those territories that you didn't want to explore for a long time. So expect this to be an emotional weekend, but also expect it to be a catharsis, because what you're going to realize, and the beauty of this moment, is that you can finally let go of fears. In Scorpio season, it's like when you're facing your fears, you can finally relinquish them and make them not exist anymore. So ultimately, you're getting to the bottom of something so that you can start something new. And that something new is to plant the seed of a new reality into your mind, so that it's not you're not reading off the script that you were handed at birth. Now you're realizing they told me those things because of their limitations, because of their fears, because of their angers, because of things that were upsetting them. That's not reality. That's their perspective. It's almost like, bam, you broke through and you realized it, but realized it to the point where emotionally you could forgive it. You could forgive it and let it, as in let it go. Compassion is that you can start to see and not hate that person anymore. There may have been a sense of really dissonance between the two of you, or just a bad feelings between the two of you, but ultimately there you reach a state of, oh my God, I don't hate them anymore. I'm completely and totally over it. But what you do from there, I think, is really what flips around your whole life and maybe your family, in that you recognize and realize how you may have passed on that hurt and that sorrow and those limitations and shame to somebody else. Once again, inadvertently, just because you think, oh, you know what, that's the truth. That's the truth that I was resigned to. That's the truth that I was forced into. And so, of course, you have to follow this truth. But ultimately, when you discover it isn't truth, you start to realize, holy shit, what have I done? What have I done to myself? Maybe what have I done to somebody around me? There is that sense of somebody in your life that is quite two people. So some people in your family that are quite formidable, and they create those sort of obstacles, and then people in your life that are quite impressionable, and they believe them. And ultimately, this is you disowning those beliefs and getting back to those things that you really, really love. You're not suppressing or repressing yourself anymore. You're owning yourself. And now, for those Sagittariuses out there that are just happy, it's because they never experienced this. And ultimately, you could be dealing with somebody or seeing in somebody this repression, this family karmic cycle, and trying to help them beyond it, to help them understand, no, you define your own reality, and let me show you your way back to, maybe you're reminding somebody of the gifts that God gave them, right? You're reminding somebody, if it's not you, you're reminding somebody of, use the talents, use the skills, look what you can do with yourself. There is definitely somebody here, probably a female ancestor, somebody who was sort of like the root or the foundation of a family unit, right? And that is why it could have been so intense. This energy of almost like this toxic female energy that kind of devours instead of feeds. And it's weird because when you're raised in that kind of environment, you almost think, oh, that's the way that it's supposed to be. But this is a total relinquishing of that energy and of the energy that you've unfortunately passed on to somebody else. There's this beautiful sentiment of good energy and good fortune coming around you and swirling around you that makes you able to find, it's almost like freedom that comes around you that makes you unable to compromise. It makes you unable to settle for self-shaming or degrading beliefs. You're not, it's like liberation from those mindsets that kind of stopped you from being all that you could be. But now what do you do with yourself? Okay, well, now you're finally, now maybe it was because you actually went to a psychiatrist, went to a therapist, or maybe it's because you just, this is a sense of now you have the nerve to come out and start taking lessons for things that interest you that you never got a chance to do. This is a sense of being who you are out loud and really not caring if somebody is concerned or worried or if you worry somebody else. Because ultimately, especially if you love this person in your life, it's going to be hard for you to sort of feel like you're disappointing them, but ultimately it's either your self-esteem or their disappointment, and ultimately your fucking self-esteem better fucking win, because Sagittarius, you deserve that freedom, you deserve that liberation, you deserve to basically, look at this new moon, fill that well. This new moon is going to provide you the opportunity to actually start fresh and not have to kind of hurt yourself or make yourself feel bad for being who you are. This is about being who you are out loud. And in some cases, it might have been that this confrontation with this person your whole life could have been somehow, some way, because they felt similar things to you deep down, but they never got to live that life. And it's almost like you may be discovering that something may come out that is that you may be discovering that. And it's almost like, it's like that, I have to say, it's almost like this truth is what sets you free and what makes you realize, oh my God, it's like it makes all the hurt melt away. And so, yes, this could be a very emotional period for you, but it's a cathartic healing emotion. It's not just getting lost in your sadness. It's actually like resurrecting back to your fullness through the watery tears. It's like, the water heals, it crying heals you. It helps to heal you. And water helps things grow. And it's just like, ultimately, that's actually what you're opening yourself up to. Let's get into the spirit guide messages for Sagittarius. Spirit guide messages for Sagittarius. You are never alone. There were many times in your life when you really felt that you were alone. This is a sense of isolation and a sense of feeling like you had to hide yourself for all that you were. There was some really old energy here, slow and steady, very confident, very it's almost like it was a mentality or an emotion. It was more of a mentality that lasted and stayed around for a really long time, slow and steady, but it was not supportive. It was not, but it was not true to itself. That's kind of what this is. It was almost like, it kind of like, it's almost like abandoning tradition, if that makes any sense. Like being removed somehow from the tradition, or being left out or held back from your family tradition. You see clearly now, honestly, there was something definitely hidden, definitely guarded, definitely upset. And it was an upset or a sadness that ran pervasive for many, many decades or, perhaps generations, because turtles live to be very old and it could be very long. And this person carrying that with them, it's almost like when you learn this truth about somebody, you're like, you don't, that's what makes you not mad at them anymore. It's like you realize, wow, they carried that shit for how long? All by themselves? That hurts. That's really hurtful. But this is the truth to sort of like set you free. This could also be counseling, taking counseling, or getting advice or guidance from somebody who is objective and can clarify things for you. And be peace, but that's ultimately your outcome. This is Libra energy, a balancing, a happiness that comes from peace and balance, and a sort of harmony that has never really been a part of you before. Chameleon, act as if, blending in to try to fit in. This has definitely got to do with some sort of like masquerade or things that were kept from you. But you see, it's crumbling off. It's slowly but surely like dripping. It's like you can't hide yourself forever. And it's not you. I don't think you're not the one that's hiding. It's definitely not you. It's this truth. It's this it's whatever this undercurrent is that has been existing for so long. But it's a very tender part. It's a very tender aspect. It could be somebody that you actually do love or that does love you, and you kind of like sit there and wonder, why are you like this? Like, what happened? Like, why are you so scared to move on with your life or be a part of life? I think you're going to get the answers to those questions, and it's going to help clarify a lot about what you believe in yourself. Be here now. So this is Libra energy as well. So this is seeing the beauty of the present moment and not looking in the past and not looking in the future. Just exhaling in where you are now, probably because you're safe now. You feel it's not about vindication. It's about freedom. It's about like ollie ollie oxen free. You remember, like I'm safe now. I actually have a beautiful life. I really love the life that I'm living. So the safety of my life is actually what's helping me to have more compassion toward people who maybe did not show that same amount of compassion toward me. Spirit has a plan. When koala hangs upside down, he's essentially waiting to see how you'll behave or how you'll react, because there is something that was unbalanced and twisted. And he's like, you lead me. You tell me where you want to go. And from this point on, I will enable you. I will support you. But ultimately, there has been something that is underneath the surface. It's kind of like shrouded or upside down. It's not clear. Something that is been sort of construed as ugly or not acceptable in some ways. Okay. Okay, so it could have something to do with Aries energy. Just the fact that the alignment, it has been off lately. A feeling of being drained, a feeling like you're not accepted, or you're not, you're not good enough for being who you are, or just that prevailing concept or idea that runs through your family that you're always going to be the disappointment, or somebody that you're dealing with that's going through this right now. That sense of like, really not loving themselves and thinking that something's wrong with themselves, and maybe having felt this way for a long time. And so you kind of kept your ideas to yourself. You suck them down, you suck them back. There's so many ideas that you've just kind of wrote off as being stupid, but ultimately, I bet you years later, somebody else made millions out of them, and you're like, but I thought of that. But why couldn't I do that? Well, that's the question, Sagittarius. Why couldn't you do that? You could have done that. And it was this lack of love for yourself that produced a lack of love for ideas. Now, this could also be that because all of this is coming up, your kind of creativity is stalled for a second. It's not going to be, if that's the case, Sagittarius, that's not going to be stalled forever. Ultimately, what is going to happen is it's going to turn back on, but you may be just putting all your energy and attention into dealing with this crap that is almost like the things that never got to be, the things that never got to exist. It's like all those possibilities are almost sad right now because of all the beauty that they could have created. Yeah, this is a lack of faith in yourself. It is. It's a sense of not being able to commit to something, or not being able to take root to something, or not be able to plant a seed, right? Which is an investment in the future, because you really didn't think that you had one, or you didn't think you were going anywhere, or it's not all of you, it's just a part of you. Like, oh, I've never picked up that guitar because, real people don't make it to be that profession, right? But what the fuck do you think? Like, of course they're real people. Like, musicians are real people. They do it all the time. They're as real as you. They're as human as you. It's just that somehow, for some reason, they planted those seeds because they thought, well, I'm worth it, or at least my guitar playing is worth it. But ultimately, there's that sense in you, a realizing all those opportunities that I missed because I didn't think that my ideas were any good because of this self-defeating chatter that was in my head. You're overcoming it. You're getting through it. And it's something, it could very well be because Uranus is in Taurus right now. There's that sense of public opinion that has changed, and sort of lifting the weight off of you to make you feel better and more secure about yourself, or more secure about your world at large. Ultimately, this is overcoming a great amount of struggle. And it could very well be also getting some money, getting some finances. It could be an inheritance coming into you that you did not expect, right? A sense of good fortune, but don't do stupid shit with it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, but anyway, I digress. Oh, Sagittarius, if you have not yet subscribed to the channel, please do click that link below and help the channel grow. You can go right down below now to the description box, and we're going to head on over into tarot. That's what we're going to do. I'm going to extend the reading into tarot and articulate all this energy and where it's moving. But I'd like you to hang around for the angel messages just a few more seconds, because they're worth it. They really are. They have their own voice. So please hang out with me for just a few more minutes. Ultimately, though, that link to the extended is below. I do hope you join me. And please join me on Instagram. Monday through Friday, I do daily tarot card readings there live so we can interact. And that's born_without_boundaries. So it's 3 words, 2 underscores separating them. And you can find me over there. And of course, there is a ton of content on Vimeo that is specific to Sagittarius, and it's extended, and it's these nitty-gritty tarot card readings. And that's where I post my astrological predictions for the week too. So join me. A little bit. Okay, let's get back to the angel messages. Angel messages, Sagittarius. Angel messages for Sagittarius. Oh, I swear to you, every single time, the angels sit here and listen to the reading. Because these cards, it's uncanny. Let's put it that way. But forgiveness is the top one that I saw, right? Let the past go. Clear your heart and mind through forgiveness. And it's through this wisdom, this new information that comes to you, that you're finally able to do so. Let go. And forgiveness is not about condoning what somebody did. It's about empathizing with their humanity and being able to free yourself from all the hurt and suffering they caused you, because now you realize they were just a person and they fucked up, and I'm better off for realizing it. Creative potential. You are by nature infinitely creative. Life is a sea of creative potential just waiting to be expressed through you. You are free to express all your heart's desires. You're free. You're finally liberated. There's no need to hold back or to feel bad about or to condemn anybody. Anybody. You know, it's not only you realizing that they were wrong to you, it's you realizing that you might have been wrong to others because they were wrong to you. And that's the chain you're breaking. Diversity. The world would be a boring place if we were all the same. Celebrate your uniqueness. You are special and much loved. Holy moly. Positive outcome. The sun is about to burst through the clouds and you will soon see things in a different light. Something that previously seemed hopeless will soon be filled with nothing but hope. I've been feeling a break coming for you for a while. There's definitely a break coming, Sagittarius, for your life. So know that. Faith. Do not lose faith. The storm clouds will soon clear and the sun will shine once more. That's beautiful. That is beautiful. Change. Ooh. Oh, shit. Life is a journey. It would be very unfulfilling if each step was exactly the same as the last. Because life is always changing. It is forever fresh and new. Allow your life to unfold gracefully. Be grateful for what was, is, and forever will be. And that's what you're going through right now. This is a huge change in your life, in your DNA, so that all that crap does not get perpetuated. Let's go on to tarot and see what the messages are. I'll see you guys over there.